Identity politics has come to the teaching business. What does this mean? Well, essentially, if you're a white professor and you dare to teach anything that is associated with another race, well, best you know your role and shut your mouth, or just stick to teaching white stuff. Remember the good old days when merit was the benchmark for someone being selected for a job, any job? Well, it would seem we now live in a biosphere in which factors such as skin tone and ethnicity are far more important than whether or not one is actually qualified for a particular position. Case in point, Mount St. Vincent University in Halifax is now under fire for assigning a course about Canada's residential schools to a gasp non-Indigenous professor. According to the usual suspect activist quoted in a Toronto Star story, the garden variety honky, Martha Walls, slated to teach this course undermines reconciliation efforts. Never mind that Walls has experience in Atlantic Canadian First Nations history. Never mind that she has a specialization in the historical experiences of 20th century Indigenous women. Nope. Just look at that skin complexion, will ya? That's all that matters in 2018. So it is that because she's not a native, and I mean not even a 1/32nd Cherokee with high cheekbones a la Elizabeth Warren, the squeaky wheels want her off the academic reservation. You see, she is a so-called settler scholar. Yeah, a settler scholar. That supposedly means she's the embodiment of systemic oppression of First Nations just because of her race. The critics say only Indigenous people understand the complex and cumulative ways they've been discriminated against, and that they should be the ones teaching their own history, period. Rebecca Thomas, a Mi'kmaq community activist in Halifax, had this to say, quote, "We get taught about and studied as though we are gone, but we're still here. People shouldn't see Indigenous people telling their own stories as exotic or a novelty. We're authoring our own stories now, and that sadly is very new but needs to be normalized so that it's the everyday occurrence," end quote. Alas, missing from that rant is this: there's no prohibition preventing natives from telling their own stories, of course, and there's also no prohibition of non-natives telling those stories either. This is called freedom of speech and freedom of expression and academic freedom to boot. But guess what, folks? Looks like the university might just cave on this issue. The school has called a meeting between Indigenous faculty and staff and Ms. Walls to determine a way forward. A way forward. That sounds kind of like code speak to me for the white flag of surrender. This meeting of the minds is justifiably not sitting well with the Society for Academic Freedom and Scholarship. Mark Mercer, president of the Society and a philosophy professor at St. Mary's University in Halifax, says it should be up to the school's history department to consider a professor's expertise and perspectives. He notes the university should stand by its decision to assign the course to a qualified scholar. Gracious, did Mercer actually use the Q word, qualified? Oh, the heresy. But still, if factors such as skin tone and race and gender and religion are now the new benchmarks for who gets to teach and who doesn't, depending on the course material, can someone please explain how it is that Ronaldo Walcott of Toronto's Ontario Institute for Studies and Education is permitted to teach a course called Women and Gender Studies? Women's Studies? Ronaldo, as the name implies, is a dude. He recently dropped by the White Privilege Conference at Ryerson University. He was one of the keynote speakers, in fact, at that crucible of Caucasian hatred. Oh, he's also a huge supporter of Black Lives Matter Toronto. You know that organization, folks, the one co-founded by Usra Kogali, who has previously stated the following on Facebook, quote, "Whiteness is not humanness. In fact, white skin is subhuman," end quote. Oh, and how about this whopper? Quote, "Please, Allah, give me strength not to cuss kill these men and white folks out here today. Please, please, please," end quote. Gracious, that doesn't sound very inclusive now, does it? But back to the issue at hand. Why are the activists asking for Martha Walls to be removed from teaching Indigenous studies because she's not Native, whereas Ronaldo Walcott gets a free pass to teach women's studies even though he's clearly not a woman or even identifies as one? Oh, I forgot to mention, Ronaldo Walcott is black. So you see, under the new rules of academic freedom, Walcott can play his race card, which is positive because he's a visible minority, in order to cancel his gender card, which is a negative because he's a man. Welcome to the New World Order on campus, folks, a biosphere of the bizarre, increasingly crippled by political correctness, a realm in which qualifications mean nothing, and who you are, or who you think you are, now means everything. For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, mark the calendar, Saturday, June 2nd. It's the second annual Rebel Live event. I hope to see you there. John Cardillo, Sheila Gunn Reid, Katie Hopkins, the big boss man himself, Ezra Levant. We're all going to be there. Please go to therebellive.com and buy your tickets today.